How to use VM Player and create a virtual machine using VM Player. So initially, I will go ahead and open VM Player. You can download and install that. The original installation program is in Moodle, or you can go directly to the link out to VMware and download it. You want to get the Windows 32 and 64-bit version. This is our opening screen. We want to create a new virtual machine. And again, many of these instructions are just the same as using Workstation. It just looks a little bit different. A couple of options initially. We have an installer disk that we can install the operating system, the OS, from. And this option is just the DVD. So you can put a DVD in to the machine and go ahead and install it from there. We want to install from a disk image file, an ISO. Now with that ISO, you can see that I've already selected C users Sean.Scott-ISO SUSE/11. Let's browse, and you can just go through the regular browsing structure and then go ahead and choose that specific ISO that you want. You'll probably download that ISO from the classes drive, and it's under Computer Technology and Scott. Okay, so I'll go ahead and grab that. Let's go to next. Now the full name of the box is probably, let's just call this Fall 2013 Linux. It's just fine. My username, I'm going to go ahead and keep this something simple. I'm just going to call it Sean, and I'm going to leave the password at Sean and confirm that password as Sean. Now this is important. This password that I've just entered is for both the user and root accounts. Obviously, I've just entered my user information, but the root is the system administrator. That's the system administrator account. You can log in with your account, and then SU is the command SU root, and you'll be able to log in as root and do those things with special permissions. The next thing we see is virtual machine name. So as we can see here, I have home and then Minecraft server, for instance. I want to just call this probably the same thing, Fall to Linux. Something like that. Fall enter to Linux SUSE. Now this is important, the location. Where is this machine being stored? I want to go browse, and obviously you can see where I've put this. Users, Sean.Scott, documents, virtual machines, and then with that virtual machine name. So you just want to go ahead and browse and find the location. Let's see. There it is. I should have. Do I really want to go through all of that? Virtual machines. And so at that point is where I would see all those virtual machines sitting at. Okay, so that's where they're stored. Now keep in mind those VM virtual machines are along the lines, Linux virtual machines are along the lines of about 5 gig. So make sure you have enough space on the particular drive that you're using. Your ISO is initially about 2.5 gig. Your VM itself is going to end up being about 5 gig. I'm going to cancel here because I already have that set. Why that's important is because if you just take the default, you may end up not being able to find it because it kind of hides it into a virtual machines directory that is not necessarily obvious. The maximum disk size is 20 gigs, so it's going to start out at about 5 and then grow if it needs to. Let's go ahead and store the virtual disk as a single file. Go to next. Now we'll customize hardware later. These settings are to change the amount of memory you use, and Linux is a fairly small footprint, so it only takes 768 megs by default. One processor, you can jack that up to 8 on this particular box, perhaps 4 or 6 on yours, and that'll improve performance. Let's see, the network adapter is the one thing that we don't initially need to worry about that. The Linux's IP address in this VM will piggyback onto the IP address that your notebook uses. If you're using VM Workstation in the lab, you may very well need to change the IP address, and I'll have a short video on how to do that. Okay, so that's the one option that you may have to pay attention to later on. I'm going to close this. I'm just going to go ahead and it says power on this virtual machine after creation. I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish that. It's going to set up the VM, and depending upon the speed of the machine here, I may pause this at some point and then show you what it ends up looking like in the end. I think there we go. I'll just go ahead and let it run. That's okay. And what we should see is a couple of things. You see how this installs? When you install Windows, it looks different. Okay, Windows doesn't give you this command by command information on screen. Just go ahead and let it run, and it'll do just fine. It'll be just fine. Now, let's see. I think at this point, this is what that VMware window looks like. For VMs, you can go ahead and suspend a VM. You can, and currently it's powered on. I'm just kind of giving you a tour as this thing installs. You can power off the machine. It's just like turning off the power button on a real machine. Again, you can suspend it or reset it. So if you make some configuration changes, it'll go ahead and you can just reset that. With Linux, you may have to do that occasionally. So I think with that, I'll just go ahead and, do I need to pause this installation? I think we're getting there quickly enough that you're seeing all the bits and pieces and parts that you'll see on your own box as you install this stuff. So we get to the command line, then we get to the GUI, and it's just going to go through all these different steps to install. So I think with that, that's all that you'll need. That first logon screen that you get, you'll go ahead and enter your name, like the one I typed in was Sean for me, and then the password, and then you should be good to go. So thank you very much.